The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to the Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records, a proud sponsor of The Unfiltered by Jade.
Shopping Assistance Jamaica takes the stress away. Our services include online and local shopping in Jamaica for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, helping you to find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195. Shopping Assistance 2015 at gmail.com. Follow Shopping Assistance on Instagram at Shopping Assist JA, at Twitter at Shopping Assist 5, and Facebook at The Shopping Assistance. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget. Welcome back to Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us an author, and she's here to speak about her book. So, I have a sister that used to work with her, and my sister bought the book and sent it to me. And I saw it, and I said, let me read this and figure out what it's about. Then that's how I came upon the book. And I decided, hey, let's do this. Let's talk about it and figure out what's up with it, how it is that she came to write about it, and so on. So, Camelia is on the next line. So, hello, Camelia.
Hello, Jade. Who is your sister? Sister.
Her name is Miss Adegold.
Oh my God, your sister. Hi.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Yes. That's how that's how I got the book.
I'm like, your sister. I know Addie very well. Addie and I worked together.
Yes, I know.
Wow.
So good to know. Good to know. Okay, so tell us who you are.
Oh God. Like, this is one of the hardest questions for me to answer.
Me too.
But I will try. Because usually, when you ask that question, a lot of people will tell you what they do. But for me, there's a separation between what you do and who you are. So I want to say Camelia is the daughter of Raphael and Sonia Guthrie. I'm an aunt, I'm a sister, I'm a friend. I'm an avid believer in everything DIY. In terms of career, and I think those things and my passion for DIY, my passion for writing, and all those things, they spill over into my career. And so my background in terms of career is broadcast journalism. I currently work in marketing and communications, along with I still do broadcast because I have a radio show every Sunday. So in sum, I want to say that's Camelia.
Nice, interesting. That's colorful, isn't it? So, I want you to tell us about your book and what made you decide to put those letters out. And first of all, the title of your book is Letters to the Men That Loved and Lied to Me. No, that just sounds like mix up. For everybody, that sounds like, that sounds juicy. And everybody wants to know what those letters entail. So tell us about the book and what made you decide to put it together.
So the funny thing is, I self-published this book when I was 30. And I think it was one of those pivotal years in my life. It was one of the roughest years on record.
Okay.
In terms of personal and professional development, because I think I took on societal pressures to achieve certain things by the time you're 30. I got to 30 and realized that I was confused. Most of these things I hadn't yet accomplished. And one of those things for me is like a family. For me, having a family of my own is like the ultimate success. I had gotten to 30. I hadn't gotten that. I didn't know where I was going in my career. And I was also hurting. And when you asked a while ago, like who's Camelia? I think at that point I thought I knew who Camelia was, but I was confused. And so it was going because I'm always journaling, I'm always writing. And so a lot of these letters were letters that I had written like years before. And I
Mm-hmm.
was going through, and then I'm like, there's a pattern here of the men who come into my life, whether by choice or by design. And so I started putting them together, and I'm like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who is feeling this way about the men who've come into my life. And
Right.
I'm not the only one that's hurting and is in the place of looking or searching for healing. And so I think that was one of the biggest things. I also wanted to put author to my name.
Right.
And so
Yeah, girl.
I
Yes.
I figured that this was a good point as any to publish. It was hard to make them public because I think I've since unpublished it. I don't remember because
Yes. I'm trying to figure out why.
I don't know. I don't know. I think like looking back, they were deeply personal letters that at the time I wanted to share and I felt the need to share. I don't know if I'm in that space anymore. Because I think a lot of those things I have healed from or I'm in the process of healing from. And so I hadn't published it.
Hold on. So, because looking back at this now,
Hmm.
in my mind, when I saw that you unpublished it, I was like, why? Because even though we write things, and yes, at that time, these how we're feeling, still having it out there actually resonates with people because people can say, I've gone through this also, or someone else out there understands. I feel like I'm going ahead of my own script. But someone someone else out there understands what I was going through. So, I mean, even though you have probably passed that stage
Hmm.
and is healed from it, it doesn't mean that other people don't need to be healed from the same thing.
That's true. I think it was a selfish move on my part.
May I tell you the truth? It was very selfish.
But that part of it was also to because you get some I don't remember there's a formal name for it in terms of payment from the book at the book
Okay.
sales. My thing because that the account that I had attached to it, um, I had closed the account and so I was back and forth with Amazon trying to sort it out. So they keep messaging me that hey, there's a payment due, but I can't seem to figure it out. So I'm like, you know what?
Mm.
In addition to that, I'm like, let me put this on pause. It's not like I'm going to republish it, but I need to sort that out too.
Yes,
But it
yes.
also came from a place of selfishness, as we just agreed on, right?
Yes, yes, we're agreeing on it. We are agreeing on it. But I mean, that's okay. It's how you felt at the time, and that's what you did. So that's also okay. It makes us realize that we're all human, same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What was the defining moment when you realized that you have gained from the love and the hurt of the persons who impacted your life?
Um, I think I came upon a quote that says, because I'm a believer in God, I'm an avid believer in God, I'm Christian, right?
Me too. Big up. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right, all right.
Yeah. Big up Jesus. Yes.
Yeah. So I came across a quote some years ago that says, God does not waste anything.
No.
And so I started just looking, evaluating, because I'm always processing stuff, right?
Right.
And so I was evaluating like the relationships that I've had, like one of the letters to my dad, to my brothers, to my ex boyfriend, and I started evaluating just the relationships in general, and from those I was like, did I learn anything? Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what did I learn from all these? And I recognized that from each of those relationships, whether bad or good, I took away lessons from it that I still hold dear sometimes. Um,
Yes.
and so I think it was out of that. And because of that, like, no, whenever anything happens, I'm not going to tell you that I don't worry because that we're humans, right? But my
Right.
first inkling is always God. What is the lesson that I'm supposed to learn from this? Because I think sometimes if we don't approach life from that perspective, we get stuck in things that were supposed to last 30 minutes and we're in it for 30 years because we have not
Yep.
learned the lesson. So you keep
Mm-hmm.
going around in a
Mm-hmm.
circle. And so I think those things, they've molded my perspective, a lot of my perspectives on life now.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. What was the process like when dealing with the past hurt of these individuals?
Look here.
Mm-hmm. Thought the things
Was
were right.
my soul was so clean because I feel like crying washes our soul.
Listen.
My soul was crispy clean
Mm-hmm.
because I was bawling like crazy. I
Mm-hmm.
was at a point where I was hurting. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to start. And I was just looking at it. I think the one that hurt me the most was with my dad
Right.
because um I often like I know my dad loved me in a weird kind of way
Mm-hmm.
because he was one to vocalize it in the same way that he vocalized his love for my sister, right?
Okay.
And so I often felt like I was that accident child that he
Mm.
got, and so he had to take care of. Um, and so I think that was the hardest for me because I'm like, I didn't choose to come here. This is a man that who's supposed to love me unconditionally, right?
Right.
And he's supposed to protect me and all those things. And I'm sure he did in his own way, but I just couldn't process it at the time. Since then, like I have asked my aunts because my grandmother passed and my dad's father passed, right?
Wow.
And so I've,
Sorry.
I've asked my aunts and stuff, and my mom too. I'm like, what was my dad's relationship with his dad? And I recognized he didn't have a relationship with his dad. The
Mm.
relationship he had with his stepfather was it was rough. Like he was abused, and
Mm.
hurt people.
Yes.
So at the time, it was hard to process. But you get older and you recognize that sometimes we need to forgive our parents too because they're humans, and they
Yes.
have to heal from their different issues.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah.
Whew.
I hope I answered
Journaling.
the
How does journaling help you to overcome? And can I also say, from the book, reading that book, it also solidified with me because I also write down things that affect
question.
me, what happens, and I realize also that journaling does help because it gets out things that you probably won't want to speak with someone about.
Mm-hmm.
um so for you to put it in the book, it was, first of all, it was very short. It's a short book.
Yeah.
And it goes straight to the point of how you're feeling, who it is that affected you, and how you probably didn't give detail as to how, but I mean, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
These people affected you and how you have dealt with it, etc. And for me, this is something I've done, so it's a mirror of how I've been doing things
Mm-hmm.
before. um and it's also saying, hey, you write things, but after you write things, you let it go. You don't write things to hold on to it.
Yeah.
So has journaling helped you to overcome these pains?
I think outside of prayer, faith,
Mm-hmm.
journaling has been my savior. So I
Okay.
remember, like when I now identify as an introvert, but I don't know if I'm naturally an introvert.
Me introvert too.
Yeah. But I remember when I was growing up, I always had a mouth. This is your lippy.
Oh
So that
God,
was always me. And
I
so,
feel like she's talking about me.
oh
But
Lord.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was always talking, and I was always being silenced because when I don't know if you grew up in Jamaica, but I grew up in Jamaica, and the idea is that kids are supposed to be seen and not
And not
heard.
heard. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm always saying what other people are thinking and are afraid to say. And
Mm-hmm.
it got to a point where the adults around me, they silenced me to the point where I didn't know how to express what I was feeling or who to express it to. And so
Right.
that's when I started writing poems to express myself. I didn't even know it was called journaling. I was just putting my thoughts on paper because
Right.
I recognized how it made me feel. It felt like an outlet for me. And so I've been journaling since as long as I can remember.
Yes.
And even to this day, like I tell you, I'm always sitting in things and processing things. That's my thing. And
Right.
sometimes when I realize I cannot process, I cannot make sense of it, I will write it down, whether in the form of a letter to, if it's somebody who hurt me, I will write it down in the form of a letter to the person. I'll do it in the form of a poem. I will just write things down. And in writing it down, I'm able to look back at it and say, oh, maybe sometimes it's a you problem, like a me problem that I need to work
Yes.
on. And
Yes.
sometimes, and then I will strategize and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this now. Or I need to send this person a text message, or I need to call this person. And so journaling has been my savior in terms of processing my emotions and just processing the different changes that I go through on however, whenever, whether every day or whenever. But
Yes.
it has helped tremendously.
Nice. Nice. Can you advise other women going through similar situations like what you're going through and how to heal?
Oh Lord, I'm still healing. You see, still.
That's fine. That's fine.
What I like journaling is, I'd say, write your thoughts down, and it doesn't have to be fancy or anything. Maybe a piece of paper. Like I keep books because I like looking back at them and
Mm-hmm.
a couple years. I'm like, like today I was saying to myself, "You're fully." I'm looking at some things and some decisions I made when I was younger, and I'm like, it's not really fool or stupid, but you're able to look back and see the progress that you've made. So I'll say journal.
Yes.
If you're Christian, I say prayer, faith. But I think one of the most practical things is to seek support, because sometimes we're dealing with things that we feel like it's just us, right?
Yes.
Or sometimes we'll allow pride because, oh, I don't want to share my business with anybody. I'll say seek support, whether that's in the form of like close knit friends or family, a church community, or a therapist. Like I've recently had to restart my therapy sessions because
Right.
I recognize there's so many things happening, so many emotions, so many life changes that even though I know what I'm supposed to do,
Right.
I don't necessarily have the tools to do them or
To
the
do it.
strategy. So
Right.
I think I'm big on therapy. So find a counselor, a psychologist, a psychologist. Just find somebody who is trained and who is able to assist you in your healing process. And remember, I was on TikTok last night and I saw this thing that said we need to treat mental illness and stress and brokenness in the same way that we treat physical ailments.
Yes.
That you don't rush the process. If your bone is broken, you have to ensure that you take the allotted time for it to heal.
Yes.
And a broken bone can re-break.
Yes.
So we need to start treating our hurts and our brokenness in the same way. We give yourself time to heal. Don't rush it. Don't be hard on yourself. Allow yourself some space for grace and just process it as you go along. If it takes you 10 years, then 10 years it is. But be soft with yourself. The world is already hard on us.
Mm-hmm. And be intentional.
Yes. Yeah.
Be intentional. So, this is very short. So, where is it that we can contact you? I mean, you have taken on the book, but if persons feel like they want to get a reader, so how can they go about this? If they want to speak to you, how can they contact you?
Okay, so if you want the book, I'm going to make a concerted effort
Yes,
to
please.
figure out the background stuff and republish it.
Yes,
It's on
please.
Amazon. It's Letters to the Men Who Loved and Lied to Me. Outside of that, you can contact me on Instagram. I have two pages. One is my business page, it's CG Communications, and the other is my name, Camelia Guthrie. I'm on
Okay.
LinkedIn, same name. Twitter, not so much, but I'm not on Facebook. But
Okay.
Instagram would be the place.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Good, good. So thank you so much, Camelia. I mean, I enjoyed the conversation, got to know about you, which is good.
Thank
And
you.
and got to hear even the process of what was happening, even regards to the book,
Yeah.
and how it impacted you and the takeaways from it. Because as you had said earlier, in life, these things are gonna happen, and in order for us to get something from it, or to gain, or to get what we're supposed to get from the experience, we need to grow. If
Yeah.
we don't grow and we stay stagnant, we stay in that same place.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think the final thing I want to say, if you allow me, is remember I mentioned that at 30 I was stressed out because I took on the societal pressures. I'll say to people, I don't know if your audience is particularly women, but
Yes, they are.
good, awesome. So what I'll say to each and everybody who is listening, I don't know if that's proper English, but hey, I'll, what I'll say to you is recognize that we're not on the same clock, right? And we're not doing the same test, or different, our paths are different. And so do not allow society or anybody else for that matter to dictate the progress you make and how and when you make that progress. It is too heavy a burden to carry. If it is that you want kids, you want a family, you want to progress in your career, move at your own pace, and things will work themselves out as they should. But don't take on the societal pressure, it will stress you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And she leaves with that point. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for the encouraging words. And guys listening out there, thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday, on the Unfiltered by Jade. Thank you.